Today we're looking at a lecture that was done, a series I would say that I have done in like 4 weeks. And good association was one of those. As it has been requested that I should do it again for whatever the reason, I guess so here we are again with good association, Khnumnt Nefer. The Kemetic term goes Khnumnt Nefer, which means good association. And we all know in all walks of life, when people assemble, it is for a purpose and a benefit. When the aspirant, in the sense of a spiritual gathering, when the aspirant gather, that is called a good association. It is called a good association because there is a purpose to understand the higher purpose of life. And as we know, according to philosophy, the Soshen, the greatest good, so the aspiration of trying to understand that higher, the greatest good, which is the self in one sense, the association becomes what is considered to be a good association. Although in many other associations, it is considered to be good by those who carry out the association based upon their level of wisdom, their understanding, their purposes, their goals. It is also a good association for them. But in the context of where we are, the good association that we are speaking about here is a good association that does not only serve a small group of people, but it serves humanity as a whole. Because when one understands themselves, understand their relationship in time and space and the universe as a whole, then that relationship expands not only in that little micro sense, but it expands in a very dynamic way with the understanding that you and the universe are one. And if you and the universe are one, then the relationship with everything in the universe becomes one. So the whole purpose and understanding of the higher self is to understand that dynamism, let me use that term, that dynamism of your relationship with the universe. They assemble in the ancient Kemetic teaching, when they assemble so they can discuss. This is one of the reasons for the assembly, the good association. When the assembly come together, they be able to discuss the teachings. And through the discussing of the teachings, then that gives an opportunity where the teachings can become what they call a spiritual practice in one sense, because it promotes that type of practice where the teachings are always to the forefront of the aspirant mind. So the mind becomes what we call grounded, or more grounded in the teachings, because it is traveling in an area just like any other thing else. If the mind is hooked into attached to something else, that's where the mind is going to lead you, your thoughts and everything. So your behavior at that sense would be aligned with that type of thoughts. So in the understanding of the promotion, the discussion of the teaching, that gives the individuals the opportunity in that association to more expand in consciousness and understanding what is the undertaking that they are at the moment. So, it links the minds, as I said, to promote a greater understanding, and will, as an act active spiritual practice. It will become an active spiritual practice. Because you always, in spiritual teaching, especially in this teaching, you would always have a question. But your question cannot be answered by each and every one. You cannot call any and anybody to answer the question. As a matter of fact, not everybody is interested. Let we say religion, no spirituality. And probably the people who you are associating with, they don't want a part of that. So you cannot really call them to ask them, well, who is Heteru? And what did Heteru do? Now, that's, but the person who are in the association, in this sense, you can always call them to, did you read about Heteru? Well, look, I have a question here. What do you think? Then it helps the individual keep promoting and going further and further. So as the understanding keep going deeper at the forefront, the mind, it keeps it in the forefront of the mind. So that's one reason for the good association, helping to promote that a spiritual practice in the sense. Another reason we find in good association, it also helps to reinforce confidence in the individual and to grow the group or the community that the individual belongs to. Because many people comes into groups, they don't have much confidence. Sometimes they've been forced to be in the group, sometimes not by other people, but experiences forces people to find themselves to see if they get relief. So some people have what they call banded type of a mentality. So I can find myself here and I may get a relief. But being in the association, it gives them confidence within themselves that they no more see themselves as exclusive to any other body, any other things in life. They began to understand because the association have something to offer, let's call it a healing balm in the association. And that healing balm causes raising of the consciousness within the individual who hadn't the confidence in themselves. Because the conversation is not a conversation of weakness, let me put it in this way, or negativity, but a conversation that directs or helps the individual to look within themselves to find strength. And that helps to give the individual the type of confidence. And with that type of confidence, then commitment comes into the individual. And with that type of commitment, then the community begins to grow. Because the individual now chooses to be in this group, and that with that type of confidence, with the understanding, then the community, the individual, as it's growing, so the community is growing in the which it belongs to. Now, there are many different communities, and whatever the community the one chooses to find confidence within it, then that's the way it is going to build within them. When the individual come together, it strengthens the individual as well as the community. Because the individual is gaining something. And once they come together, there is strength. As I said, the negativity is no more there. It's a positive, let's call it a positive movement at the point. Something that is giving the individual something to strive at, something to hold on to. It gives the individual insight into themselves that they can look back and find the quality, resilience within themselves where they can bounce back from that state of, let me say, downtroddenness and keep going forward into a more brilliant, a more light way, into a way of Ra, a more enlightened way along the line, seeking to gain that great good, which is enlightenment. Yes, as I was saying, when the individual come together, it strengthens the individual, also strengthens the community that they can grow. And we also know, if we look back, there are studies that show association, how people suffer from grief, heartache, because there is no association. There are studies that show that people who leave their countries And because of their leaving their culture, coming to different culture that doesn't have the association, they die out very fast. They die from heartbrokenness, from grief, suffering mentally, psychologically, spiritually. So association, good association, gives the individual something to work. It helps strengthens the spirit of the individual because there is something, let me say, to gladden the spirit. And because of that gladness of the spirit, then I would say the resilience then steps in and the individual go forward. And there are some of the qualities that enjoined in good association. We've got peace, love, righteousness, right action, contentment, studying, reflecting, and meditating on the teaching. All of this we find in good association. The association it becomes that good that everything that is negative, we tend to block it out. You see? So we don't have time anymore for the negativity. We have time for building. So we build in ourselves, and by rebuilding ourselves, the association in itself began to build at a stronger point. So good association is very important for the spiritual aspirant. Now, associating with who? Some spiritual aspirant, well, I put it, it's unfortunate, who have misled themselves along the line, believe to associate with each and every one or any and anything would give them the type of, let me say, insight or spiritual growth. But some association does not have that. And when I say some association, I'm not actually directing myself in a sense to any religious group or anything like that. Association as a whole. Because some association are criminalities. And some aspirant who have misled themselves, get themselves involved in these type of, let me say, political arena and believe to themselves they can walk through these type of things and gain spiritual enlightenment. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Spiritual enlightenment is spiritual enlightenment. It's not political gain. One has to live according to the way of a spiritual aspirant. One has to learn to study, reflect, meditate. One has to learn to detach. One has to learn how to be contentment. One has to learn the way of love, peace, righteousness. The actions, your behavior has to become a behavior. It has to be a Mahatian behavior. A Mahatian behavior doesn't exclude you from standing on the side of unrighteous, on the path of righteousness. You take a stand to put down unrighteousness, but then you know exactly where you are coming from. So you stand with Ma'at. And these are some of the things that is enjoined in good association. That makes the association, in the spiritual sense, the pinnacle of all association that one should be in. Because it is a good association that helps the individual to be, let me use the common good, the common term, to be good. Not that the individual is not good by nature, but because he or she has been indoctrinated, been conditioned through cultural patterns, then the behavior becomes somewhat negative. And through that negativity, then the actions that they perform is not always in benefits of themselves, nor the community, nor even the family. So as a result of that, their behavior becomes negative and destructive. Through that conditioning, now they may all think to themselves that they are walking on the right path. Because that's what culture tells them they're supposed to do. That's what it was taught in the culture to do. Example, the culture tells you have to be somebody. And you're living all your life trying to be somebody and not realizing to yourself that you already suspend yourself in order to be who you cannot be. You're already somebody. You were born somebody. So why go and look for something now to be what you want to? You are already born. You are the divine. You were born the divine. But culture didn't tell you that you were divine. Culture tell you are something else. So in order to say, culture tell you, you are a tool of the society. You are a pawn in the game. And because you are a pawn in the game, you are fighting hard to fulfill what culture say you're supposed to fulfill. You are fighting hard to live up to what culture say you're supposed to live up to. Well, that's not true. When you come to the understanding that what culture is teaching you along the line, it is nothing but, I like to put it in this way, it is nothing but a job situation. Culture has manipulated the potential of the individual. And because it manipulated the potential of the individual, it allows the individual to see that they are nothing else and nothing they can accomplish except they go through the channel of what culture say they're supposed to go through. Work hard, drop dead. 5 jobs, you can't even maintain your family. Even though financially you've been able to maintain your family, mentally, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, your family is damaged because they don't have time in order to groom the family. You and the family has no time for what they call, quote and unquote, good time. Time to sit down, what they call, I think they call it, they have a term they use, you understand, choices time or something like that, where you all can sit down. The family has come to the point that you sit right here with me and I sit right here with you, but you texting me. The family has gone to the point, so there's division all along the line. We sit to eat, but we don't have no time with each other. We can't even look at each other in the face anymore. We bring our jobs home, and that's all we're thinking about. All we think about is just what society said we're supposed, striving to be that person that society said that we're supposed to be. And doesn't realize that we were born that person. So that association, what culture has given to us, we associate ourselves with that, and look what that association has caused. It caused a lot of strife. It caused a lot of enmity. Because in the association, you go to banquets, you go to different things, this is the association, but what you end up with? A lot of drunkards, a lot of people, you understand, cursing, a lot of people, enmity, people doing all types of mischief. And then we call it association. You understand? So it is not the association of the pinnacle. So, but this association here, where you become contented with the self, you learn how to be contented. You learn how to live a righteous life. You learn how to love the self, that you can love others without looking for anything in return. You learn how to have peace within yourself, that you can extend that peace onto others. You learn, reflecting how to reflect rather than living a life of just reflex action and fight or flight. You learn how to meditate, which means learning how to control or manage your emotions. Once you understand these things, then your association, it becomes, as I said, the pinnacle of a good association. And this is what we call Khnumnt Nefer, the good association. Peace. In that good association, as I said, the teaching in good association, there is also resilience. Because there are many people comes into the association, as I said, down-spirited, downhearted. They cannot go anymore. They don't know what to do. But because the association has what it takes, the teachings, the role models, and such like, then that one individual gain back, resilience. And in resilience, to spring back from the many disappointing and heart-wrenching experiences in life. Because people has gone through many heart-wrenching experiences. Some people don't say. Some people sweep things under the rug. Some people pretend, as my grandmother would say, some people pretend to be Moroccan. They pull themselves under the shell and believe they're tough. You understand? And they go about their life in that type of way. But inside, they are all crushed. They are all crushed. Looking for somewhere where they can, just park themselves. But when you come to the good association, it helps in the sense that you have those in the good association with positive role models, as I say, who you can look up to. Those who you can learn from. The experience of care and support for others that you love or you trust, because eventually you're going to find someone inside you're going to trust or you're going to love. Also, it's going to help you with those who you love or trust and you don't know how to do it in the good association, because the teaching is pushing you into those areas to go deep within yourself, the deeper aspect of yourself where you can find love and compassion. And once you began to find love and compassion within yourself, then you began to know you don't block yourself anymore, but you began to open up now. Now you began to go as it is. You understand? You're giving yourself the opportunity now. So love and support, trust, being able to discuss and promote, you understand? Trust, the problems. Not trusting the problem, but trusting people. You can then discuss your problems because you have role models. You have people who are listening to you appropriately. And when we say appropriately, not people who listen for mischief. Not people who listen just want to know your business to expose you, but people who cares about you. People who wants to understand what they can do to help you along the path. So, discussing the problem that you can share with others who would listen appropriately. Receiving appropriate encouragement and reassurance from others, so which means discussing that problem. You've got counselors. Got people who can counsel you. So which means you are sure with yourself that whatever you're talking about, it remains there, confidential. You can afford to stay here and say, well, yeah, I could afford to do this because why? You have seen for yourself the demonstration of those who are inside that association, what they demonstrated, the behavior. Because you go inside it skeptical. And your skepticism has grown from skepticism into a positive thing because the behavior is not what you have expected. You have seen something different. And because you have seen that positivity, it helps you to grow individually. It gives you what we call self-esteem with yourself now. And that self-esteem in itself, it helps you with self-confidence with itself. And with self-confidence, the problem solving, then you can solve your problems. And problem solving in the sense is like, once you have confidence in yourself and self-esteem, and you see in your association, then you don't really have the type of, hold back anymore that to talk or speak to others in the association. No. You know exactly who to speak to. You know your role models in the association because it is Khnumnt Nefer. It is a spiritual association. It is a good association. And because it is a good association, then it helps to solve problems. And not only problems in the spiritual sense, also in the mundane sense. Because when you have a good association, you can include things in the association, in the community, working with the community. In the community need work. Because there are lots of children in the community need help. And as a spiritual aspirant, this could be a part of your selfless service. We have children where education is concerned, after school programs. We have children who always finding themselves in trouble. They need guidance. They have parents who have problems with themselves, don't know how to treat themselves and their children. They have people on the street wanting place to stay. Those who have the academics, those who have the know-how, all of these things can be enjoined into the good association in order to help those who cannot help themselves from the mundane point. So all of these are included in the Ma'atian way of life. And that's the good association. I said, the Khnumnt Nefer. All of this can be accomplished in the good association by we following according to the teachings. As the Proverbs tells us, consume pure food. Now we know, as the teaching also points us to us, pure food, what you eat, is that what you become. So if you're eating crazy things, can put it this way, in the physical food, you're eating that crazy thing, eventually it's going to affect your brain, because we see that the food that people is eating today is affecting people all along the line. Cancerous food, the amount of pesticides and things that is placed, fish with all type of pesticides and dung and all of these things, chicken, even the vegetable that we're eating becoming something now, you have to be very careful, although they call it GMO, well, as we said, is one less chemical. Yes. And we're going down the line. So pure food, and that pure food also include mental food, spiritual food, pure food and pure thoughts with pure hands. So your actions has to be pure. Once your thoughts, your food are pure, your thoughts, your actions become pure, your behavior then becomes something of a virtuous kind. Your behavior becomes something of a dignitary type, because you're living a virtuous life. The brain is no more clouded. Adore celestial being that is doing your rituals, your meditation, your Shadi discipline, adoring these celestial beings. And not only adoring it, like we say, like when you come to the temple or you go to a gathering or something like that. No, you are a part of the good association, and the good association is not on a temporary basis. The good association is a continuation, because it is a value, it's a virtue. We gathered here today in order to keep expressing that good association. But when you leave this gathering where we gather, the good association goes with you, because you are a part of the good association. So it becomes, let's put it this way, it's viral. You see, it is not just something that in a more brick and mortar business we're talking about here. It is something that is viral. You see? So it goes along the line. So celestial being, become associated with wise ones, sages, saints, and prophets, make offering to God. So in the good association, as I said before, to become one of a good association, this good association, which I call the pinnacle of the good association of all association, then is to associate yourself with the saints, the sages, the prophets, the wise one, those that belongs to the association. Now, saying that, it doesn't mean that one doesn't have to have a conversation, or one does, because like everything else, you cannot live exclusive altogether in this world that you are. Because like everything, you got to go to the supermarket, you got to speak to people, you understand, got to go to the stores. But then you know exactly your foundation, where you are coming from. So because you're detached now from worldliness, your worldly way of life, your behavior becomes a behavior of virtue and dignity. You becomes one, let me use the term, a dignitary of the good association. Hit it.